Hi everyone. So thank you for joining. So today we have an interesting session, and today we will be talking about discounting. So discounting is a hot topic, and it's widely debated in the industry. And most of the e-commerce brands, in our experience, have not limited, but it's not innovative sort of like. Discounting is there. Like most of the brands do discounting. Most common is like 10% off, so 10% everyone starts with 10% off, but more than 10%, the idea is that it needs to get into this thing, like the whole experience needs to be managed smartly, and discounting gives you a lot of leverage, lot of functionality, lot of in the terms of even how to uh, manage the emotional side of user. So that's really the important part of discounting, and where the our discounting framework comes into the picture. So uh, is the first point is that do we need discounting, like so that's the main part, that do we still needs discounting. And we have done like multiple tests internally and externally, and for multiple brands, and uh, it gives you a leverage. So discounting is a leverage, so it's not if you work it out, and it doesn't need to be like a new discount. Like even if you have an existing discount on the products, like most of the marketplaces have existing discounts, or most of the like a D2C brands, you are setting up the prices, so there is no point of there is no MRP as such, because the brand is setting up the MRP. And even if you are a retailer, there is always some kind of a smart discounting which can be done, and it's so central to the part of the business model that if you look at like Amazon or Costco, they build the whole model ground up for discounting, so everything starts from discounting side of things. So now coming to the the reason, the main reason why discounting still works. Like first is the PCC. So I wanted to touch upon the PCC framework. So PCC framework is our framework by which we help e-commerce brands with their customer retention and increasing their customer lifetime value. So this is after working with 50 plus brands, we created this framework, and in this framework we look at the product side of things, we look at the customer side of things, and we look at like customers communication side of things. So that's the three buckets. In now in this this discounting comes under the bucket of like customer product value maximization, where the idea is to get the maximum for value from the product. So it overall, this product framework includes pricing, it includes average order value, and it includes discounting. So these all three things are very central to the strategy, and till the time you don't get your frame pricing right, you don't get your average order value, like bundles and like cross sell, upsell, and those kind of, because they are also uh, like a sort of a discount if you create bundles and all. So it becomes a part of this like a discounting strategy, but we treat it separately. But that's like your e-commerce value maximization. And third is the discounting framework. So discounting framework is typically about the customer discount and everything around that. So that's the customer discounting part. And last week we discussed the whole value maximization. So last month, like in 4 sessions, we discussed the whole customer value maximization, and next will be like communication maximization, and pricing is left, I guess. So that will be covering next. So now first is why discounting still works. So uh, uh, there are two things. Like one is the emotional side, one is the rational side. So on the rational side, the discounting works to the like rational mind. If I'm getting for something for 100, if I can get the same product for like $90, then it's a rational good decision. So that's why the discounting is a more for a rational mind, but it not more, but it connects to the rational mind. But because of the experiences of last 20 years or something like that, so brands like customers are aware that it's not the real discount, it's not the real deal. So it's also about the value perception. So like if there is a sale on Apple, and you are getting an iPhone for $100, then it's a like you might doubt the discount, but I'm sure you will be running toward the discount. There is a there might be skeptical, but skepticism. But if you get that discount, like $100 for iPhone, so then the discounting will uh, like cater to your rational mind, and you will go for the deal. If your brand is new and the value is diluted, or you are using like 90% discounts and inflated discount, then the rational mind will start questioning. But anything at less than 30%, the rational mind accepts as discount, as a deal, or as this thing. But the main benefit of this discounting is mostly on the emotional side. So mostly on the emotional side, and on the emotional, it's catered to two three things. One is the like exclusivity. So exclusivity, customer feels something exclusive. Customer feels that I am getting something sort of a like a special treatment, something like that. So there is a exclusive angle over there. Second is it makes customer feel smart. So there is a smart angle over there. So smart is where the customer feels that I got a deal. So one was the exclusivity, that I'm getting this, nobody else is getting this, or uh, there is something I did. Maybe it's a reward being for being loyal, or it's a reward for something. So those rewards also comes into like a emotional side. And second is the like a smart part, and the you feel smarter, you feel like a winner, you feel like you got something, like you got a like a win. Even maybe like your rational mind is saying that no way, like this iPhone, or like any other, let's suppose there is a jacket is like placed at like $50, like 100 like $200, and then you are paying like $50 for that. And then you know that you will never pay $200 for a jacket for most of the people. But even if you're getting that deal like for 50, your rational mind might say that that's not relevant. But because your emotional mind will always say about the emotional side in the terms of the being smart, or being able to get the hunting sort of a scenario, that you figure out something which nobody was able to figure out, and you got a deal. So one is the exclusivity, second is this thing, third is the scarcity part. So scarcity also plays big role in the discounting, because there is always like discount is going, discount is coming, discount like last minute, last call. So scarcity also plays important role. So exclusivity, scarcity, and your feeling smart. So these three emotions are mostly touched by discounting side of things. On the tactical, like on the rational side, it works, and people, if it's a genuine deal, then eventually like the most rational mind will also fall for it, because nobody wants to pay more for a, like if you can get something cheaper. But more or less, what we will be using in e-commerce will be more around the emotional side, and more on the like how we can make it more scarce, how can we make it more exclusive, how can we make it more like attractive, or like impulsive. So those things comes into the discounting side of things. And one more point which is not discussed that much, that I feel that discounting, if you do very complicated discounting, so uh, customer is not able to compare apple to apple. So if someone is saying like a $10 off, so there is a like a variable cost, variable discount. But if you put that you get $10 off, then you will get some cash back, then there will be some loyalty points, and you bundle it up, you make like a stack of 4 or 5 offers. Then customers most likely, like they get confused also, because nobody is as that good at math. But it also feels that we are getting some worth, like customer is not able to figure out. And what you did, if you have a loyalty program or subscription, then you have removed the apple to apple comparison, you have made some kind of apple versus orange comparison. So it's not on the unit, you are also getting some points, you are getting some cashback, you are getting some credit for that, and then there is always buy now pay later, and then there is a discount. So you complicated the this thing, and you put some on instant gratification, some on like future. So it's looks little bit different from actual, and customer is not able to comprehend fully or like understand the full nuances of the discount, and then they get confused. So that's also an important part, that discounting also, but it's also gives you a different picture, that if someone is looking at a single product and there is a discount, but once you add the bundle, you add 4 5 products in that, you add some service component and this, and customer will get confused that what's the deal. But it makes it look more lucrative, and it makes it more like a stacked up and more lucrative and more impulsive. So that's the emotional side. So yeah, so mostly like it's 80% emotional, 10 20% rational. If the brand manages or like plays their card well, so it can be rational, because rational mind also loves the deal. But if you are not able to get that, or the brand equity is low, so you can always play on the emotional side and discounting. That's why the discounting works. So now coming down to like where the discounting will be applicable. So why so like from an e-commerce brand perspective, why do you need to think about discounting? Like it's not like we know that discounting works, so that's there. But where I need to like take a call that do I need discount? So there is two part. One is the campaigns. So let's jump into the campaign first. So there is a campaign which is more on the campaign side of things, like why I need to do the offers. And let's suppose we agree that discounting works. Now the second part is that when I should do discounts, or like when do I need to do discounts, or like how much discount is too many discounts, and all those things. Like that's the whole plethora where that the implementation part of things, and where the framework will also come into the picture. What we have is like a smart discounting framework, but I just want to understand, like make it the cadence clear, that what's our recommendation. So this comes from a like a 4P campaign theory, which says that you have to, this comes from common creative thread and collective thread. And basically the theory is that around you need to have a peak every quarter. So most of the retail stores have their traditional holiday like Black Friday, and they get the maximum revenue around that time. But the idea is to put it like the discount on the like across the year, because you don't want like 50% of revenue coming in Q4 and you are not able to meet your targets for Q1 Q2 Q3. So the idea is to like get into a regular peak kind of a thing, and like peaking up with the Black Friday and this thing. And based on that like depending on other brands also, so we say like once a quarter. So once a quarter you need to do a big sale, which is like the cornerstone sale of the quarter, at least for the brand. And Amazon does it like twice. So they run two Prime Days in a year. So at Amazon scale also they do like two big major events for the year of the year, and also they do like small sales also, like monthly sales here and there. But what we see that most of the brands dilute their sale because they run it for longer period. So the idea is to run it for 2 to 3 days. So let's start with the quarterly. So quarterly is like once a quarter. So you can go from quarterly, monthly, like weekly and daily. So that's the like cadence. If you look at the cadence from a quarterly, so the biggest sale or the biggest deal where I would say like you break even and it's mostly done to clear the inventory, or like you have to like create a buzz around that. So that's a quarterly sale, and that should be not more than like 7 days, 5 to 7 days. Shorter the better, but like 3 day minimum, but like 5 to 7 day, and try to get it once a quarter. So for like for US market, it will be like in February there is like Valentine's Day. So quarter one is Valentine's, quarter two is like for most of the brands is Mother's Day, or there can be this. Third is like 4th of July. So 4th of July Independence Day, and we can have a big or this thing. And then there is a like a Black Friday in Q4. So that's the cadence. But typically it depends from industry, brand to brand, and you don't need to have a like if you don't fit in any of those, you can always run like a summer sale or winter sale or like a clearance sale or this thing. So like a retail industry or like offline retail industry used to run from in July or in Jan. So when they used to clear the stock, so winter collection sale used to be in Jan. So that's a traditional retail model, like 20 years ago. So now with the fast fashion, everything changed. But like with the traditional, they used to get a winter collection, fall collection, summer collection, and then they used to clear it after 3 months. So they also used to run in the offline once a quarter a big sale. It was for most of the brands, it was like twice a year. So once in July, one in Jan. For winter and for summer. And second was if you have like three collection, then you used to run a fall sale also. And this so whenever the catalog used to change in the stores and the inventory used to change in the stores, they used to clear it up using a sale. But from e-commerce perspective, it's like once a quarter is more than good enough. Second is once a month. So once a month now, like once a quarter is bare minimum, I would say, like to for all the brands. Even if you are not doing much, at least do once a week, once a quarter. Next is if you want to go aggressive and like for most of the brands, I would say like 80% of the brands, if they are not too high end or luxury brand, then I would say like once a month. And it doesn't need to be a big sale. It can be a small, like a sale which is like 2 to 3 day sale. Then there can be like a weekly sale. There can be like a daily. Daily is like for Sheen or like a Temu of the world's, or like but at least monthly is for minimum like under 6 to 7, 7 to 8 figure monthly revenue. So for those brands like 1 million under monthly revenue, so once a month sale is fine. You don't need to go to weekly. But if you are doing like more, or there is like the inventory is to like the it's also depends how the inventory is structured, how many catalog you have, how many SKUs you have, how many like brands or how many unique deals you can create. And we will come to the unique deals, like that's the main part of the webinar. But so weekly sale is I would say like a once a week, and it's mostly flash. You don't need to go deep into that. And if it works, then you can pile on it. But for most of the brands, if you run like once a quarter big sale and like a once a month small sale, then it's more than good enough. Like you don't need to. But for this, now comes like how you structure the discount. So that's the part which will you come at. And then the second part is like where you need discounts along the customer journey. So one is the campaign side of things, that where you need discounts for the campaign. And it's applicable for social media also. It's not just about email. It's applicable on social media. It's applicable on other platforms as well, and Facebook and this. But in your this thing, like that was for the campaign. Now for automations, it's mostly comes down to like customer journey. And in customer journey, it's comes down to like you need something to close the deal. So you need something over here like in the welcome. So you need something in the first part, first bucket. Then you need something in the second bucket, which is typically if someone has bought. So those are different kind of offers to push them forward. Then you need something in the third bucket, like a repeat purchase. So but the structure or the type of deals becomes completely different. Like so that for new buyers, it's more like flat price or discount. For new repeat is like you try to increase the AOV, you give a minimum threshold. For repeat or VIP, you want to reward on the loyalty and this thing. And like for labs, it's more or less as a welcome, sort of like to get them back. But you need to think about these four buckets. And also similarly, we looked at the segmentation side. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to put the charges. So yeah, so where were we? So yeah, so you need something for customers, you need something for like a non-buyer, you need something for buyers, you need something for repeat buyers, and you need something for your lapsed customers. So that's the cadence, and we discuss the campaign part. So now they're like we break it up into like three buckets. So it's like overall like how you structure the campaign. So one is like to get additional revenue. So it can be like some kind of a clearance, it can be something like so what's the goal of the discount? Like, is it to get the clearance, is it to get the like increase AOV, or is it to reward loyalty, like you want more repeat customers to stay? So before jumping into, you need to think from this perspective also. So one was why we need to discount. Second was what are the scenarios for discounting, uh, which was the second bucket. Now the third bucket is what the goal, what's the goal of the discount. So we need to generate revenue, so it's mainly related to the first time buyers. To increase AOV, it's mostly related to the second or this thing. And if you need something to reward loyalty, like a subscription based discount or loyalty points or cashback, sometimes we try to push like subscription based discount, because the idea is to push more users into your this thing, like to push more user to get your subscription. So then it becomes more like a subscription based discount. And yeah, and next is this is the framework. So we will just jumping into the this part. So let me just share the screen. So yeah, so that's the main this thing. So we have this framework. So this is the internal framework which we created, which in this we will be able to clear all the like how we think about this in the terms of discounting, and also how you can use this. So this, we look at the margin to promote. So this is also goes into like contribution margin discussion, where we need to figure out that what kind of discounts is available to the. So that's the biggest issue before starting, that doesn't used to include or like include their margins into the whole pricing structure. And once the brand or agency or someone comes along to ask for discounts, or even if they need to do anything for Black Friday, they struggle, because there is no variable amount in the buffer kept in the pricing structure. So the idea is to like you need to figure out that how, what's the margin you have to play with. So for brands it becomes really important. And in our like we have worked with like more than 50-70 brands, and in our like last 4 years 5 years, we have never pressured anyone to give anything more, anything less. It's always that what's your comfort zone, because the brand owner knows their margins the best. So we don't want to push them, and we don't want to ask them for a special discount. uh, the idea is that whatever you have, you need to play smartly with that. So for electronics, we work with electronics marketplace. So they used to have like less than 5% or 5% max they can offer on selected products. For some brands, it's more less than like even like they can offer like up to 20%. So it's totally depends on the brand, or like how your pricing is structured, how much leverage you have. But this is the idea, that you need to figure out the first what's the margin to promote. Second part is the current average order value, because the second goal is, first is the revenue, second is like to increase the average order value. So we need to figure out what's the current average order value of the brand. So let's suppose in this formula Excel, we kept it like $100, but for some brand it might be like $50. So their average order value is 50. So the idea is whatever we give, we want to increase this buffer or this ceiling. So we want to people, or we want brand like customers to spend more than $50. So then now let's suppose this is 20. So first is like your non-buyer, non-serious customers, or like your top of the funnel. So for that, idea is to not give your best discount. So because sometimes this is also the one mistake we see many brands do, that they give their best on the welcome pop-up, or like once someone enters, they will give the best offer they can do on the site, and they start from there. And it creates the whole negative energy, that you are giving out the best to the in the first interaction itself. So there is no negotiation room left. Second, it customer also doesn't feel exclusive in that. So that's the first discount, you just like throw it on the face. So it's basically it's not exclusive. So if you go back like three pillars: scarcity, exclusivity, and from a deal, or from a bargain hunt kind of a thing. So in that, giving out the best offer upfront doesn't make sense. So the what we recommend is like either X by 2, which is if you have 20% margin, don't give more than like 10% on your welcome flow pop up. But second is your this thing like X by 2. So X by 2 can be minimum purchase on the minimum amount. So this is like $5 150. But typically for top of the funnel non-buyers, we don't recommend this. We typically recommend like flat, because minimum purchase tend to work best with the repeat buyers, because for non-buyers it's like flat discount, so you give like $10 off or like 10% or 15%. But it's like purchase tend to dilute, and customer also feel uh, like into the corner, like cornered into a factor that I need to spend this much to get, and they are still experiencing the product or the brand, so they are not sure that will I be able to spend this much or this much, or if the mini purchase is like 100, so should I go above 100 or not. Maybe they want to just try the product for $30 or something. So the idea is to give more flat for non-buyers, and not your best offer. So the learning. Bottom of the funnel, if someone is close to the purchase, so it will include your cart users, your checkout users, if someone left the cart. So for those who want to put the best foot forward and the best deal, because they are down in the funnel. So the best offer is not for everyone, but I would say the best offer is for your cart abandonment or this. And if you want to run ladder, like that 2 days 15 and then 4 days or 5 days 20%, then also you can do that, give out the maximum. But we never it's a last resort, but we don't never recommend to go more than 20%, like the maximum margin, because there is always like attribution issues and all those things. So the idea is to not go. But if you feel that that's a lost sale, so you can always go for your highest margin, but typically the best, then the welcome. And now it comes to the campaign. So campaign is like quarterly, monthly, and it will also be applicable for win back, like lapsed audiences. It will be also applicable to non-buyer and lapsed. And for those, because one is like non-buyer or win back lapsed, so it's very, because the conversion tend to be very low on the lap reactivation. So the idea is to put the best foot forward. Second is, what you can do is like you can put a minimum purchase, uh, which is like a double of the average order value. So you give the best discount, but only if they are willing to spend the highest amount, or like double of your average order value. So it becomes like 20% of this. And these are all formula driven. So if I change something over here, then the whole situation or whole thing changes up. But like a $20 off 100. So that's the highest offer with the highest purchase. And this is typically the offer we recommend for the VIP typically we go for 3x, but you can also go for like 2x of the average order value, because they have already bought. So the idea is to push for this. So if you run a campaign, suppose you are running campaign where you are doing something for like a flat discount also, but you have percentage of users who have already bought, they are less in the database. There is like a fewer non-buyers and more repeat buyers or like existing customers, then I would say go for minimum purchase. But if you feel that your database is mostly non-buyers, then for Black Friday or something, you go for X% kind. And the third is the best option, like tiered sales. So if you have like multiple SKUs, and this is mainly for brands with have like 50 plus SKUs or 100 plus SKUs, to always go for tiered sale, that you spend this much, you get this much. If you spend more, you get more, something like that. So it's like a X1 of Y1, X2 of Y2, X3 of Y3. So something like that. And that typically helps with the like increase average order value. So that's like also becomes an important part. Then there is always like repeat buyers. So we don't want to give discounts or like offer to repeat buyers, but if we have given something for new buyers, so we don't want to punish our repeat customers. So that's also one issue which happens with the like during our discussions with the brands, and this that I'm happy to give welcome offer, but I don't want to give anything for repeat. And in a way, you are punishing your loyal customers for buying again, sort of like so if I change my email address, then I can get a discount. If I'm not changing up my email address, then I'm not getting a discount. So that's a flawed concept, I would say. So in that sense, it becomes important to put something like X by 2 or something like you reduce the discount, it doesn't need, or you put everything on the repeat purchase cycle, that you like spend double and you get the discount, but at least, or you put something on loyalty or your subscription program, but don't punish the user for being a loyal customer. So that's becomes an important part for repeat customers. And VIP also, the idea is to keep on pushing the average order value. So for VIP customers, for repeat buyers, we tend to increase this like high reward for high loyalty. So we can go for high reward for high loyalty also, or you can have some kind of a minimum purchase, minimum free gift, and those things. And these kind of offers like free gifts will only work with repeat buyers or for loyal customers. Sometimes the brands run this like a free gift on the for new customer, and if someone has not never bought from the brand, so it becomes really tough to like expect a good gift, sort of like don't care about the gift because they don't care about the brand, they have not seen the brand, they have not tested or used the product. So then it becomes, the main issue is that you need to build that trust, and then only the free gift will work. Otherwise it will not work. Like that's been our experience, but you can always run experiments, but the idea is to like break those up. And these are the 4 5 buckets which we typically run every brand through. So that's our discounting framework. So if you have your margins and if you have your AOV, so we try to put it up in somewhere in the Excel, and then we will like roll out or like spit out a list of offers which you can try. And this also doesn't include the limited SKUs or SKU based. So that is becomes a like a creative zone for the brands, that if someone buys like 3 products, they can get this, or like those kind of deals. So that comes under the brand this thing. Now last is around the testing part, that how should we test these offers, because there might be some kind of a offer or some kind of a deal which is like recurring, or the brands are doing regularly, or you want to like test it out. So the idea is to not test everything during your quarterly campaigns, because quarterlies are the most sensitive offers. So you don't want to test anything during Black Friday or during the like your peak seasons. I would say like even for Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, you don't want to try out different offers. You want tried and tested offers. So the idea is either you run a flash sale around that those offers, or you do a hidden sale like just on the email, just on some other channels, or you run a small monthly sales and you try to rotate. But the idea is to run like 5 6 deals, then figure out like best two working like working offers, and then rolling them out across or using them this thing. So you don't need to have all those offers like yeah, you don't need to have everything. So for some brands, buy one get one works, and they have been running this for last 3 years and it always works. They know it works. They have run multiple tests. For some brands, like buy one get 25% off second works best. So it depends from brand to brand. But I would say keep on running those tests, and once you have the list of offers, then don't experiment at least during your peak seasons, or at least during the where you want to drive revenue or this thing. You can always test in off like or this flows, or you can always test in like your welcome and repeat flows, but you don't need to, you should not test during your peak season. So that's the advice. Apart from this, I think that's it on the discounting side. So now little bit about us. So we help e-commerce brands to increase their customer lifetime value by 30% in 30 days. And we use our PCC framework, which is product maximization, customer maximization, and communication maximization. And using that framework, we look at the pricing, we look at the discounting, we look at the like average order value things, we look at the loyalty program, subscription program, membership, whatever you need. And it's every brand doesn't need everything. So that's where the we come into the picture, that what needs to be done for the brand itself. And there is a roadmap, there is a plan. And then once that is done, we have both the components on the feature sides, we have both on the product side. Then we do the communication piece, which is putting everything on email, SMS, push, website, so rolling it out sort of. So that's the what we do. And we have worked with like around 50 plus brands, and we have delivered like great results to them. So thank you. If you want help, you can always reach out to me, and we can start the conversation. So Thank you for your time, and see you next time. So